Hi everyone, Nick Creticus of Nick's Seasonal Decor here, and yesterday after our last Christmas in July video that we did last night around this time, a lot of you guys would like to see some centerpieces or arrangements done with some florals. So what I have on my table I just kind of threw together, and I thought maybe we could design something with it. So just give me 1 second while I pull up the feed so I can read your comments live. But we're going to be dealing with this red pickup truck that we picked up from Michael's probably a couple years or so ago. So this is actually one thing I would not recommend shipping, nor will I have this listed for sale. More than likely, year after year, I'll deconstruct it and I'll use it for my own personal collection and design with it for my own home. So that's definitely something I would not recommend you ship. It wouldn't ship all that well. So just keep that in mind if you decide to purchase this. If you do want to ship, you could always use either a plastic or a metal. But I really like this from Michael's. It is hand-painted, and I thought it was really cute. So I thought we would design with that today. A lot of you guys are interested in seeing pickup trucks designed for Christmas and for fall and for spring. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Hi, Lynn. Hi, everyone. So this is not going to be an overly long tutorial. And in that case, we can always just decide to design a bow real quick afterwards. Because a lot of you guys that were watching my home talk video the other day do have difficulties designing a bow. So what I'm going to start off doing is I'm going to cut a piece of dry foam so we can place it within the hole. And for that, since I forgot a knife, a very sharp knife, I'll just be using these scissors that break apart. We're not going to need a huge piece of foam, something rather small. And this should be enough. That should be more than enough simply because we're going to be using longer stems today. We're not going to be dealing with a lot of florals. So I think we're mostly going to be using some greenery and potentially some berries. But I also picked up a few of these Christmas trees. Also something I picked up a couple years ago. So I thought we would just design something using some of those. Thank you. So now I'm just going to use a scrap stick and apply a generous amount of hot glue towards the base. That way we can just insert it into the foam. So I'm applying hot glue just for it to stay in place. This is definitely something that's not going to go through tremendous stress. This is not going to go on a front door. And more than likely this would not be placed outdoors for obvious reasons. So now we have our foam within our container, and what I thought we would do is incorporate one of these trees. They come on a little wooden log, and I couldn't really tell you where I got these. I've had these for several years. So I'm just going to hot glue the end and place it into the foam. Like that. So how cute is that? So I did put it at an angle because you want to envision this on an actual pickup truck, and if you are purchasing a live Christmas tree, typically they place them on their sides, so that way they don't get knocked over. So we just added that. It took up a lot of space, but this is kind of a bristle-like texture, so we can maneuver it to each side. That way it's not in our way. So now what we can do is we can add some greenery. What we have here is just some simple picks that we picked up probably a few years ago as well. This is just your basic evergreen tips. These are extremely economical. You can pick these up at Trendy Tree. And we're just going to snip them short. We don't need these pieces to be too long. So I think we can get away with snipping them individually and just hot gluing. Like I said, this is not going to be a design that's put through tremendous stress. You got some at Dollar Tree. So these could be purchased at Dollar Tree. I definitely think they carry these. Hi, Nick. I'm becoming obsessed with your videos, learning something new every day. Thank you. So now I'm just going to take a little bit of greenery and pepper some of it in. And notice that I am keeping it rather close to the base. Hi from Illinois. Welcome. We were there a couple weeks ago. So maybe one more piece. So I just placed a handful of them, about 5 or 6 pieces. It's not going to take a whole bunch. And we do have some florals we could add to this. I do recommend to keep everything kind of proportionate. Obviously this isn't to scale, but I don't recommend using anything too large since we are designing on a rather small base. We have some of these little red filler flowers we could poke in. We have one of these, which I think if we were to use these, we'd cut them individually and wire them in. And then, of course, we have some of these berries. Hi, Karen. Hello from Denton, Texas. Welcome. So we have some of these berries that we picked up from Hobby Lobby. And I've used these lots of times. I love working with these. So I'm just going to break them apart into smaller segments, and we can pepper in a few of them. And these are wired as well. So the red truck came from Michael's probably a couple years ago. And I think it was listed as $29.99. But since you all know I'm pretty frugal, I definitely didn't spend $25 for it. This was probably a clearance item that I just had for my own house. I just picked up for my own house. I didn't have any plans to A, record it a few years ago, and B, sell it. This is definitely something that would not ship well, being ceramic. So we'll just add a few more berries. Essentially one pick is what we're doing. And I am having these kind of extend a little ways out. So they do bend as you get closer towards the base, but as you approach the outside of the berries, they don't bend necessarily. So just keep that in mind when you're picking them out. If you really want them to cascade nicely like we've done in the past, I recommend a different berry that maybe has wire throughout the entire stem. But we can come back in with more florals, some grass, whatever we decide. I'm trying to see if I like these. I'm not a huge fan of these in it. So maybe we'll stick to some berries. I have some ribbon if we decide we wanted to add that. And the way I would add this is essentially single loops. So let's see if we like that. And I would probably add a little steel pick. So let's get to cutting some of these. I don't mind the look of them, so I guess we can use them. So now we need our steel pick machine. I haven't used this in a very long time, so I don't know if it's all oiled up or if it'll even give me picks. Yeah, it's starting to get a little stuck, so I do have to get some oil. I do have it somewhere. But what I also do sometimes if I'm kind of in a pinch and I don't really feel like doing it is I'll see if I have some scrap picks somewhere. Which I don't, so we'll just wire them in individually rather than use our steel pick machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little pipe cleaner, twist it around a little length of ribbon, and create my own pick. And we could just cut it at a nice clean angle. Or as always, if we wanted to dovetail, we could dovetail. Yep, Michaels. These came from Michaels. So I just placed one on opposing ends. If we wanted to add more, we certainly could. I'm going to hold off on adding more of this particular ribbon. Let's see what else we have. I also have some of this greenery right here that I really like because it cascades. So maybe we'll just cut a few pieces of this and incorporate. This greenery came from Hobby Lobby. So this one I'm just bending a few stems down, and as you can see, it kind of cascades over it. So even though this is a car, I do really like the look of things being natural in their containers. I love when things creep over the sides, and typically the rule of thumb for container designing, which I talk about in the exclusive wreath community all the time, is that you need 3 elements for a great container: a thriller, and the thriller in this case is the tree. It's the tallest point. Basically this right here is the focal point. And then you need a filler, which happens to be the inexpensive greenery and some of the berries. And then you also need something that's called a spiller. What that means is something that cascades over the edge of the container. And it makes it as though everything has been growing in it for a while and really gives that realistic look. So we're not going to add too much of a spiller, simply because we don't really want to hide our truck. But by just adding those few pieces that you saw me add, soften the edge of the container and made it as though it's really a floral arrangement, which it is. So now we'll just place 1 or 2 pieces in the back. This could be meant to be viewed from all points of view. This could be used as a centerpiece. More than likely what I'll do is I'll use it as an arrangement, which is a little bit different than a centerpiece. This is something that would probably go on my buffet table or a little side table. So it'd probably be viewed from 3 points of view: the back, the side, and then the front. The other side, it's not really going to be visible from, but you still want to make it beautiful nonetheless. So just incorporate a few bits of greenery and berries in the back. That way it ties everything in. So if we wanted to, we could add some ornaments. I think maybe we'll just poke in a very small amount. We'll use my sharp cutters for these. And we'll keep these close towards the base. We're not going to have these extend too far because we don't want to take away from the tree. We can come up slightly higher in the back because we know it's going to be visible from only a couple perspectives. But we're not going to add any pieces like this high to obstruct from our tree. So we've added 4. If we wanted to add more, we could. But that's pretty much the largest size ornament or flower I would use as those smaller ornaments. I wouldn't go any larger for this particular design because even though it's not true to scale, we want to make it as true to scale as possible. And I feel as though if we went any larger with anything, it would just distract from the tree. And really, our truck and our tree are the focal points, and everything else is just to accent it. So at this point, we could pop in a few of those little presents that you see as ornaments from Dollar Tree or anything like that. Those very inexpensive little styrofoam ones covered in a type of fabric or a type of foil. Those would be cute in this. You could add a little bird. You could add a little cardinal in this. This would be very pretty with a little bird. But I think maybe we'll just finish up adding those little bits of berries, and then I think we'll be done. So not a very long project. For those of you that are watching, if you would like to see me create a bow real quick, for those of you that may be new to bows or haven't made one by hand, I'm more than willing to show you guys how to do that. So give me some likes if that's something you'd want to see. And then we definitely could do that. Okay, lots of likes and hearts. Bow time it is. So here's the completed design. Very simple, didn't take much time at all, but it did finish off this container. So maybe later on, as the Christmas season arrives, we could design this with fresh flowers. I was thinking about saving that for, you know, maybe a special day. We'll get some flowers in and do that. If that's something you'd like to see using the same container, let me know. The principles would pretty much be the same, but we'd just be designing with fresh, and we couldn't maneuver them as easily as we could with the artificial. So there's that. And I hope you guys learned a little something from that quick little demo. But let's get to making a bow. We used that ribbon for the truck, so now we might as well use it for a bow. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off a length to create a tail. These are approximately 12-inch tails on either side. So rather than cut two individual pieces, we're going to cut it off at approximately 24 inches or so. And I do have an in-depth video in very high resolution teaching you guys how to do this if you'd like to see designing a bow. But then what I do is I just essentially create two loops like that. For this ribbon, it truly doesn't make a huge difference, but I just get into the habit of twisting it completely around. This is not a prime example to show you with, and then in the video that I may share later on tonight, it shows you on a ribbon that is not two-sided like this. So then I'm just going to twist it and alternate it and let some ribbon out. And by twisting it, you get the pretty side on the front. Like I said, it truly doesn't make a difference in this particular ribbon, but for certain ribbons, you definitely can tell what I'm talking about. So the less loops you add, the more you could add to your bow. So sometimes we do rustic wreaths or wreaths that I don't really like bows to be too dominant in, and what I do is I do less loops, and then I create some decorations and I put them in by adding some picks or some greenery or some flowers, and make it as though the bow is incorporated within the wreath. If we're doing a more traditional approach, the more loops the better, and that's how you get a nice full bow. So we have 5 on either side. We'll add one more to each side, and then we'll call it quits, and that'll be a very full bow. And then we'll fluff that open so you can see. So now I'm going to cut the bow off, take my tails, and place them behind. So a lot of people tend to hold such a tight grip with their bows. It's truly not that necessary, and it took me time to realize that. So for those of you that kind of give a death grip for your bows, it's not necessary. You're just straining your hands by doing that. So now we can pull our tails forward and start opening up the loops. Like I said, this is a rather full bow, so we have 12 loops in total. And we are using a sheer ribbon. This is not a ribbon that I typically work with all that much. I like something a little bit more bold. So just open up your loops. And then these bows are perfect for lanterns. They're perfect for swags, wreaths, presents, and just to give as gifts. You could put this on a bottle of wine, on a present box, on a bag. You could put them all over your Christmas tree. But there's that. So if you are interested in seeing the more in-depth tutorial, I do have both of them on my YouTube page. that shows you how to make a traditional bow as well as different styles of bows. But there's that. That matches nicely with the truck. So I hope you guys enjoyed this demo tonight. And for those of you that are still watching, we will be live again tomorrow around 8:30, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And if there's something you'd like to see for tomorrow, maybe a floral wreath, maybe more mesh, just let me know in the comments section and I'll be sure to do it. So I hope you guys have a great night. And I Sony did that bow making demo. Awesome. So I hope you learned a little something from that. But I'll see you all tomorrow night, and I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.